Thank you for having me here to give you some overview about what Gigamon is doing and to see how we fit in between this storage conference. I will go in depth what we are doing and how it could be a benefit for your companies you are caring about, because we are not really a new company. We are several years since 2004 on the market and have been made some nice progress in real big companies. Especially these companies are already forced from the beginning on with huge amount of data to be covered and to be inspected also. So as we started, most of them started with banks, with insurance companies, with healthcare. Even before GDPR has been a topic for the public, it has been a topic for them specifically. And so we made our first steps and our biggest deals in the US, but now shifting completely over the complete market, not only for the top companies, not only telcos where we are big in, but also for all enterprise-related companies and governments. And what we are doing is we fit in between all of this stored data and the data protection. The way that there are, in my definition or our definition, three kinds of data categories. It's data at rest, what you find on your NAS systems, on your sound systems, which is stored and more or less non-volatile, but has a really big impact in being an attacking target. There is data in use, which you find on the side of the processing unit, of your servers, of your computers, of your endpoints where the data is processed, where we also have some attack points if you see meltdown and stuff like this that has been mentioned in the recent time. And then there is something called data in motion. Data that is transiting your network, your physical network, your virtual network, maybe also network that isn't only connected with yours because it's running in the cloud. And this kind of data is what we are focusing. Our focus is data in motion. So why do you need some stuff from us? There is something called like the data in motion dilemma, which results out of the speeds of the bandwidths, of the volume you have to transport over the networks, and the threats in case of attackers or hackers who want to get any outcome of your information. So the complexity, the risk, and the cost with all the cybersecurity tools, with all network-related topics, and with all the forces you have to place to gather this, grow tremendously. Especially if you see this mentioned topic, big data, and the transition from 10 to 40 to 100 gigabit networks, populating the networks of enterprise customers as well. Then the addition of Internet of Things and machine-to-machine communication, it's a really, really huge amount of data traveling through the network and giving a lot of target points for attackers. If you think this with 100 gigabit networks, there are always packets you have to look in. And the time between one packet and the other to be inspected is only 6.7 nanoseconds. So you have 6.7 nanoseconds in this kind of network to inspect what is happening, and if you allow, go through or stop. This is hard work, and sorrily, the tools don't proceed the same way like the technology you have implemented in your companies is already aware. So this gap of making it possible to see all traffic in the time you have to see it is there, even you know it or not. The thing I mentioned before is more theoretical, but it's actually happening. But what also is a very, really big problem is this new traffic patterns, this lateral movement of infections that has been in your network and can't be seen by any tool. Usually you see north-south traffic. Traffic running from the internet, from a WAN, into your system, down to the virtualized environment. But what happens if the traffic doesn't pass one of your trigger points, where you usually tap the information and feed the tools? You have something like this. virtual machines speak with each other and don't pass the points where you could grab out the information that something happens. If you would grab it out, you wouldn't see anything anyway if you don't have the right means because it's encrypted traffic. So it's like SSL decryption, just another implementation. You don't see anything if you put this traffic through a tool. So also within the network, with the east-west traffic that's happening, there is a huge amount of blind spots. You usually have some problems to solve it. The other topic is SSL. SSL is not a thing that will come already today. More than 50%, much more than 50% are encrypted traffic. And this is, again, a topic where you have some data running through your system. Maybe it's from you, maybe it's a special malware package for you, for your company. Modern malware is not a spreader way gift. It's a one-by-one present that is made for you. So it's SSL decryption anyway. You have 80% enterprise traffic that is encrypted. It will be by 2020 much higher because SSL decryption is not an option anymore. Then you have this degradation of your tools. If you say, yeah, I have encrypted traffic, I can decrypt it and bring it to my tools, you usually have to place an appliance in front of your tools, do the decrypting, doing it for as many tools as you have, and then inspect the traffic, which makes performance of your tool, where you spend a lot of money, make it even worse. And also malware is at the moment more and more encrypted, so you will have also these topics to solve for future. Here you see the 4 core points that maybe are the fundamentals you have to change. It's the time for detection is decreasing tremendously. You have to change your security model if you want to go with the attackers you have in your system. And you have to involve this traffic patterns and mobility because all of this stuff will be risingly more be an encryption-based attacking and encryption-based solving. Our friends from Gartner made a nice slide. I don't want to go in depth. I just need the 4 points, what it's within. They call it the 12 security capabilities any company has to do. And to break it down to 4, it's just prevent, detect, respond, and predict. This is what you really have to do. And how you do it, this really varies how you have to care about your system landscape. If you see the common ad hoc security deployments, which you find in your companies today, you see a lot of points that are necessary to be tapped, network segments that have to be tapped to feed your, oh, it's not in here, to feed your security tools. It's not to see because the lines are too small. So usually you have these red dots, tapping points out of your segments, and bring this traffic to one or more of your tools. In existing environments, you usually have the problem that you have always an intrusion of your network if you make one tool aware of the traffic is happening between a segment. So every one of these red dots is an interruption of your network. You have to bring out the information to a tool. And usually it happens this way that you take more and more tools just to get secure that you have done everything that the tool may find some intrusion. The problem is, if you do it one by one, you always have this contention of seeing not the complete stuff at any tool. And this is the big problem, because if you start to implement a one-to-one connection, you get not ready at any time. So what we are this kind of, oh, it's really not good to see. We are this kind of orange spider in the web, where all the data is transferred to our security delivery platform. So no tool is anymore needed to be connected directly in the network. The tool can be placed outside of the network, but behind of our appliance. And any kind of traffic that is here mentioned with the dots that reaches our appliance can be fed to any kind of tool. So this means not only physical traffic can be sent to any tool, but also virtual traffic. If you have a VMware environment, if you have a KVM environment, if you have Azure, if you have AWS, all this kind of traffics can be combined, sent to one central security delivery appliance, and be populated to the tools behind of it. So at this point of time, you have us in between of your tools and the network. You have the first time the choice to deliver any kind of information to any tool, not one segment to one tool, and if you want to have another segment, to combine it also. What we do at this point of time is not only collecting the data, but is also doing some manipulation. It's not storage. If you see the application not as storage, where you have a specific time frame for collecting packets and see if they are double, but we can also do more sophisticated stuff like metadata generation, labeling, slicing. We can mask specific traffic for specific tools. So for a forensic tool, it's not necessary to see any credit card information or something like that. You can cut it from the beginning, not have to care about it when it's in the tool already. And all this stuff, also inline SSL decryption, is a topic we can do in advance. So not every tool has to do it by its own, but by us. And if it's done once, it can be sent to as many tools as is needed. It's be encrypted afterwards again and sent to the endpoint. An example for this would be maybe advanced persistent threat, where you have 6 layers of touch points, reconnaissance, phishing, zero-day attacks. You have backdoors where people can intrude in your network. You have this mentioned lateral movement that a worm is already inside of your system, but you can't see it because it's spreading over a lateral way. Then you have, because any kind of attacker wants to get something from you, this portion of data gathering and exfiltration. An attacker wants to get out some information of your network. And you all have to do this with a before mentioned very short period of time. You can take care about to make a decision, to make a right decision, if it's a threat or it's okay. And you know that this is not a static system, this is a very dynamic system. If you have found once an attack and behavior that is uncommon, it's not the last time. These attacks are spread by so many people who want to get together any information. So the amount of, we call it bad guys, are simply too many to have a static way to care about this. So the paradigm of prevent breaches is not longer a way you can 2 days stay in front of, because breaches are inevitable, so they will happen. If you think you maybe have not the right tools, but coming back to what this Gartner's to-do list is showing us, they give us a way to say, yeah, you have to do prevention with the typical means, but you have to find a more intelligent way to detect, predict, and to contain these attackers in your system. And this is a way where we can help a lot, because we are not only tapping out the data, we are combining data and delivering an additional worth for your tools to work more efficient and to make the investment in your tools really worth it to spend this money, because it's not simply done with buying new licenses. It's always what kind of information does a specific tool get. Is it capable to care about this traffic? Can I reduce the traffic for this tool because it's anyway no worth in it? We are doing exactly this stuff. So what's necessary? Basic hygiene is something you can't avoid. You need it. You need firewalls, you need endpoints, you need segmentations, you need all this stuff I mentioned before, and you have to feed these tools with the right information. But afterwards, if you go out of this prevention stack, all the tools you have at the moment, maybe also for testing topics in your house, are going to be much more sophisticated than they have been in the past. There are means of big data analysis, machine learning, for the building context of detection, to see behaviors that maybe can't be seen if you have a static approach. They also have to be feed with information to artificial intelligence and cognitive solutions to make more worth out of the data they gathered. And in the end, because that's what we're all talking about, take an action. Because you can have all the information in the world. If you are not capable to take the action behind, you have no chance to break down the attack. At the moment, this is more or less not real a process like we want to have it, because there are a lot of man-to-man, man-to-machine, machine-to-man, machine-to-machine interactions which you can't do automated if you have to do it tool by tool by tool. What we have seen at customers using us, they made this defender life cycle, making a break about this manual way where you have a prediction, what is happening there, but now what is to do? And this is possible because we have RESTful APIs on our system, so the tools can interact directly over our appliance and force some actions that make a decision how to react on an attack much easier, and can make it automatically. So we can do it with inline bypass, SSL decryption, we can feed metadata in these tools, and at the end we do inline controls. And we do it this way that we say, I can go over this because I mentioned it already before, we don't have you to make the decision what to do, we have to do it in advance, but you have to have the chance to bring your system for reducing attacks, for reacting on threats on a more automated level. And this is why people are choosing us and why we are introduced at heavily populated networks. So coming on the point, I mentioned this, our vision and our paradigm of introducing a security tool is never do it one by one. Always take care that you can deliver any kind of information if it comes from any kind of database, if it comes from any kind of data center, if it comes from virtual, from cloud environments, feed this into an appliance that can make this data more rich and send it inline or out of band to the tools behind to take decisions. Because we are not a network component. We are not replacing any Cisco, any Juniper, anything of this. We are also not replacing the virtualization, but we are taking all the information out of this network and then spreading it to any kind of tool and make these tools more effective and efficient than running without of us. This is what we are doing, and if you want to see this, you're keen to see it. We are doing a lot of POCs, and I think only real-life experience can show you what we really can, not a slide deck. That's from my side. We are over this. I just want to show you one point. If you have seen one of your ecosystem partners on this slide deck, we have really close integration with them. We have implementation guides. We have also on the sides of these nice vendors of security solutions, the use cases we did already. They are not doing it without a reason. The reason is making their tools also better than without us. Thank you for listening.